get your cardio in, try to eat clean, drink water. But then there's those people that don't do any of it. You know who you are. And, but, Patty's the type that, she's really self-motivated. I never had to tell her twice, and she looks fabulous. And over time, everything has changed a little bit. There's some constants, right? Drinking the water, staying active. But we really had to modify. So that's something I want to touch on with both of you is as we get older, what changes have you had to make? Now, you had an injury that kind of forced you to change some things. What was that? And how did you find a solution to that?
So I have naturally a skinny, thin body, as I mentioned. So I've never had to really worry about weight gain. So diet wasn't all that important to me in the beginning. It was more about building muscle and having some shape to me. So I accomplished that through weightlifting over time. And then when I was in my 30s, I started running because I felt like I needed the cardio angle. And then I had a back injury, not specifically caused by running, but just maybe a cumulative, buildup of things that led to it with my back. And I tore 2 discs, and it was, in a way, devastating to me because I couldn't do anything. I was really I was bedridden for at least a month. I was crawling around my house and using, cabinets or countertops to stand up, and it just completely blew me away. How could this happen to me? I've been working out. I'm healthy. I haven't done anything. What? And at that point, I had to reevaluate my, health and fitness as I aged. What's going to happen with my back. And Trish was in my life.
I come along again.
She got the savior, and she says, I think that you should think about doing something like yoga or Pilates to stretch, and maybe you can help your back or avoid another injury to your back or another part of your body. And Trish took me under her wing and introduced me to Sumit. And when I entered hot yoga in 2010, I was not able to stand up straight because my injury was so bad. And Sumit and Trish worked with me, and over time, I believe that that's what has led to my recovery. Now, Kevin knows I still have back issues. Sometimes I come into him and I say, I can't do that today in boot camp because
what kind of modifications that she had to make in weight training? Because once you have a back injury, that's no joke. So shout out to Sumit's Yoga. It's been open, the one on Chandler McClintock, Sumit's Yoga Chandler, for 7 years. Yeah. I've basically been there since it opened, and the reason that I started was because I wasn't going to be that trainer who couldn't touch her toes. I had an issue with my hamstrings. They were so tight, I couldn't touch my toes. I said, no way. So really, that's why I started. It was just a random thing. And I said, I'm losing flexibility. As you get older, you start losing your flexibility, and it's like everything else. If you don't use it, you lose it. So keeping that in mind, right? We start stretching, and things start to get better, and slowly but surely we are increasing our flexibility. And then weight training, what kind of modifications did she have to make there for her back?
Well, in the beginning, especially, there was we had to restrict her from doing things in any forward flexion, no bending at the waist, cutting some lifts out completely, some of the deadlifting.
All of the deadlifting.
All of the deadlifting, yes.
Yeah, it's gone.
I continue to say this, just stay away from them people. Yeah. You really don't know what you're doing. Leave it to the professionals, unless you're with your trainer, where we can watch you. Stop it.
And actually, that was the main modification. Some of the kettlebell movements as well. We had to back off on that for a while.
And just the heavy,
and the weight,
the actual weights
the actual
themselves.
Weight level.
Yeah.
Like actual loading. Yeah.
Totally.
And brought the loading down, and that's where we still are.
Yeah.
At this point, it's not that important for her to push the heavy weights anymore. This is more about maintaining function, maintaining integrity, structural integrity, if you will.
So all of this is going on, right? So you're still working pretty much 40 hours,
I'm
right?
traveling.
And you're climbing up the ladder.
Yes.
You went to some great places, right? Where'd you go? For work, you've been everywhere, right?
I've been many places in the world.
Tell me about it, because I live vicariously through people who travel. I never go anywhere.
Well, a lot of Europe and Asia, primarily for work. I feel like my employers have paid for, worldwide travel for me, which
is great.
It's been fantastic.
I mean, when you're there, you have to work.
Right.
Which is the downside.
But the joy
But
of it is
you
you
get to
get to
go.
experience, you know, a
At least
new,
you can eat out.
right?
Right.
And I always try to add, wherever I go, whether it's personal or work travel, I always add fitness in. Like my goal is, okay, I'm going on vacation. I want to walk. I was in Iceland a few months ago. I want to hike or walk 20 miles a day while I'm on this vacation. And it's easy to do when you're just on vacation, but when it's a work situation, then you've got to figure out, you know, how to
Right, and
work
that
it all
goes back
in.
to my questions. Backtracking a couple of shows, what are you willing to sacrifice?
Absolutely.
So it's going to take some sacrifice. If you're
Mm-hmm.
going to make fitness a priority and you're busy working, you have to really plan things out. You know, it just doesn't happen. You don't wake up and just go, no. You have certain amount of hours in the day.
Mhm.
You have to be at meetings or wherever you have to be. And so it doesn't have to be a corporate job, but it could be your family. You got to get the kids to school. How am I going to work it in? So you have to set your alarm earlier. Immediately you're going to sacrifice sleep.
Absolutely.
That's the first thing to go. Sleep
Well-
is going to go out the window. However, you can go to sleep early.
Yes,
Patty goes
thank
to
you.
sleep.
Yeah, you can
Everyone
do-
knows.
Yeah.
Patty does not sacrifice sleep. Let me just tell you, Patty's not sacrificing anything.
Don't call me or text me after 9.
Yeah, I already know this. However, actually, we were texting really late the other night. I don't
well,
know what happened.
I've had some bad work nights and weekends for
yeah,
the
I'm
last
going,
month.
Patty's up
It's
after
an
9.
anomaly.
What's going on? There's something wrong.
There was a midnight in there that, yeah.
But anyways, you have to plan accordingly, is all I'm saying, right? And so,
Right, you have to make it a priority, absolutely. And I feel like even my fitness sessions, when I visit Kevin for boot camp or when I go to yoga or cycle bar, it has to be an item on my schedule because that translates in my mind to I can't miss this.
It's a commitment.
I've got to be there, right?
right.
And that
So that's
works for
pretty
me
good,
because that's
yeah.
the way I work. You know, I'm driven by what I need to accomplish in a day, all my goals, whether it's work or workout or whatever. And I always say my perfect day is when I can work and I can do 3 or 4 workouts in a day. so
We are
this
so cut out of the same cloth, this one and I. Is like,
and I even I'll tell Kevin, I had such a great day yesterday. I worked and then I
She'll list
also
off
did
this-
3
this
workouts.
list of 3 workouts that she's done.
well,
and,
listen,
yeah.
when we say 3 workouts, it's the trifecta. Okay, it's cardio for her. It's walking, for example. Let's just say the first thing, she's always going to have to walk the dogs no matter what.
Right.
Okay, so those are her babies. Those are her true loves. So the dogs come first, and then there might be her weight training, which would come next. Okay, so we're talking, that's the second workout. Then there's work, regular work.
right.
And then if she gets it in, maybe she'll pop into yoga in the evening, maybe 4 o'clock yoga.
Yeah.
Right,
Or
so there's
cycle.
stretching.
Yeah. 4 or 5. Yeah.
So,
And then she'll probably
you know,
walk
it's not
again.
just
And then
one.
I'll often, like last night, I walked again.
It's like, how do you get like this and look this beautiful? It's not just one thing, everybody. It's
And
never
it's
just one thing.
balance. You know, you have to balance your life, and it can't be all about working out or all about career or all
Right.
about this. You have to blend it.
Yeah. And so people who have this like-mindedness about fitness, we gravitate towards other people that are like this,
Think
right?
so.
So tell me about some of the friendships and stuff, and like, what do you do socially? You know, does it involve fitness, or do you find that it transcends into your other stuff that you do?
You know, honestly, my recreational time is, at this point in my life, really is doing something that's working out related.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's my free time. If I'm not training people, then I'm more likely training myself on something. I set
It's
goals.
like a treat, right?
Yeah, I set goals for myself. I put myself on programs. I'll try to reach for something. Sometimes completely unrealistic, but it drives me to try to achieve something. And that's really, and my free time is built around either learning more about what I do, or figuring out something else that I'm going to do for myself and planning out the next challenge.
And you have 2 kids, right? 2 boys.
2 boys, yeah.
And who are involved in sports.
They both are, yeah. My younger son is in high school still, and he's a football player, and he runs track. And my older son, that's what he was doing, and he also was a football player, ran track. And he earned a couple scholarships, decided to go a different route with his life, but they're both very accomplished, quite athletic kids.
You know,
And,
just take a look at the dad. You know, the apples don't fall far from the tree, ladies and gentlemen. So that's what we've been doing for all this time, right? And there are a few things. Let's talk about some real stuff here, like some of the struggles. It's not all fun and games and, oh, we're on a perfect schedule and you're climbing up the corporate ladder. Some bad stuff has happened. You know, for you, Patty, you know, your mom got really sick.
Right.
And this was a progression. Okay, it wasn't like one day to the next she was sick. It was like slowly getting sick. So tell us about that, and how did it affect you, and did fitness or staying fit help you in any way get through that?
Right. So my mom was diagnosed with Alzheimer's about 10 or 11 years ago, and it completely changed my life in so many ways. Number one, I had to get off the road from work. I had to figure out a way to change jobs so that I didn't have to travel so much. I probably would have moved to Asia, but for my mother's Alzheimer's diagnosis. So I changed jobs. I went to a different company for 4 years, and they allowed me to work from home, which meant I'd pack up my stuff and my dogs, and I would go to my mom's house and work from there, many days. My two sisters and I juggled taking care of our mom for a while until we couldn't anymore, and then, she had to be in a 24-hour care facility. But I credit my love of health and fitness as kind of keeping me sane through some very depressing years of taking care of my mom. And frankly, the break that you get mentally from, running or walking or, being outdoors, for me it was key to sort of keep my moods elevated and just to be able to really help her too. So it's still touching to me, but it's just, it really solidified the importance of health and fitness in my life, seeing my mom go through that and realizing that, I need to do everything I can to stay as healthy as I can.
Right.
In the event that there is a link between, your physical health
right.
and then I think it kept me going and sane and able to still, have the career.
How do you function?
Right.
Right.
To get through,
Because
to get through the days.
You're trying to wrap your
it's
brain
devastating.
around your family member that you love so much is deteriorating right before your eyes.
Right.
And there's not really anything that you can do. So especially with Alzheimer's, and I have another very close friend, Debbie. Hi, shout out to you, Debbie, who went through the same thing, and she saw her mom, regress so much to the point where she didn't remember how to eat.
Right.
She couldn't dress herself. She didn't know how to go to the bathroom. It is really a devastating illness. And so, Patty and I were working out together throughout this time. Now, you lost your mom not too long ago.
A year ago. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's still really fresh. And,
Yes.
Thank God for fitness, because I've been through some struggles in my life where I just really thank God for fitness, because
Yes.
it just helped me so much deal with big stuff. Because people are going to turn to something. Everybody needs an outlet. And I'm hoping to reach out to people and let them know that they don't have to reach out to the negative things, the alcohol or the drugs or the pills. It can be something positive. And, if you can, do something to make yourself feel better, maybe you start feeling better mentally and physically. Have you had anything like that, an experience, maybe your accident or some kind of struggle where you really had to kind of go
Actually, in the past 3 years, I've lost both my mother and my younger brother, and
wow, that's
both
really hard.
both suddenly, and it's a way to being able to, for me, just grabbing the barbell is therapeutic. It's a way to channel. You can either channel your sorrow, you can channel your aggression, you can channel your happiness. It's kind of a fix-all for whatever's going on with you. You can lose yourself in it, and after you get a good, hard, intense workout, everything else seems a little bit better. No matter what you're going through.
It works for me. Really, if it weren't for fitness, I don't know where I would be, honestly. Just getting through life every day.
Yeah.
There's so many things going on, and if you can just get in there and...
For me as well, I think one of the things that, a lot of things going on in the world in your life, sometimes you feel like you don't have control of things. And the one thing I feel like, one thing you can control is your level of fitness and your level of health. And I think having
Absolutely.
it's kind of a security blanket.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, I've been holding on tight to that security in every way that I can, my goodness. So what's in the future for you guys? Patty, let's face it, we're getting older.
Absolutely.
We've had to modify things. Mm-hmm. Obviously, I'm not going to try and run a marathon, guys. I'm really not that person. Like I said before, I get bored. I have some challenges I want to take on. I wouldn't say I'm super adventurous. You are, though. You love Sedona.
Yes. I'm way
Just
into
talk about Sedona.
I'm way into the outdoors everywhere, really, but I'd say Sedona and Hawaii are my two
Every year she
sanctuaries.
goes.
I go, often to both, and
She's got it like that.
I think that we need that break, from the busy career or the day-to-day drudge to get out and try something new and fresh air and. I think it allows creativity. I often solve problems, like work problems. I'll
Yeah, when you
went
go out for a
along,
hike with the dogs.
hike and just being in nature and just kind of putting things in perspective, and it just allows me to think through, what's happening now, where do I want to go, and problem solve. So I think it's so important that
Do
people
you have
take
any
that
like
break.
goals as far as something, because we've done a lot of different things, right?
Yeah.
You got through your 5K and your 10K and your half marathon. Do you have anything like else on the list?
I can't think of anything
Like
that,
specific?
but I will say that I'm now thinking more about staying active, fit, and healthy into retirement. Like that's the next leap for me is, when I retire, what am I going to do? Not
Right.
only with my, the fun part of my life, but also how can I, be more active in the community or, provide my services, charitable.
Right.
And I want to work with animals, and
You love those animals.
do.
You love those dogs. You're so good with them.
But I also look forward to being free to do all my workouts without work being involved. So I think that I'm really just looking towards healthy aging.
Yeah, it's all really about preservation.
Yeah, at this point.
Right, it's about training smarter, not harder necessarily. Back in the day, we were all going nuts doing this like Jane Fonda, kicking our feet up past our head and just doing all this pounding and craziness. Well, guess what? Your joints start to talk to you over the years. All the pounding from the running, they can only take so much. So, what are some things that we can do, like, as we get a little bit older, to kind of preserve what we work so hard for?
Well, I think one of the things that it seems that people lose, I think strength training throughout your life is very important. And I look around at people I know, and it seems like the older they get, the less they do. When actually you should be more focused on maintaining, your strength, your flexibility. Strength is your number one component in preventing slips and falls in the elderly. And it doesn't take.
Right.
And people think weight training and think some kind of heavy duty.
Right.
Bodybuilding style
Let's
program.
talk about that.
But it's
Misconceptions
just,
about weight training. I know, ladies, you're not going to look like, ooh, and start talking like that unless you start taking steroids. Okay?
Yeah.
It's really not going to happen. There are a lot of misconceptions about weight training. They're like, well, I don't want to get big. I don't want to get big. It just depends on your body type, whether your body's gonna respond quickly or not.
Yeah, strength
And
does
if
not
you're-
equate to size.
If you're
Yeah.
mesomorphic, you're gonna build quickly. But if you're not built that way, you're not gonna build quickly. It took Patty, I don't know how long, to
Yeah.
get
I'm
the
still
muscles that she's
working
got
on
now. It just depends on your body type, right?
Body type of training, nutrition, all that goes into it. When I talk to women, I always tell them that the women that you see that are massively muscular, there is some outside effort going on there as far as amount of calories they take and the type and length and volume of training that they do. It's not like you're going to do a few curls and then end up with massive biceps, and I think people have that conception. The weights are are anybody's best friend, I think, and as you get older, even more so.
Definitely. I know that my parents, their doctors have recommended that they do some strength training.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let me just break it down in layman's terms for those of you who don't quite understand. The reason that you want to do some strength training, especially as you get older, is because when you're lifting weights, your muscles are pulling away from your bones. So your bones go, oh my God, you're pulling away from me. Okay, and so the bones are like, I need to get really strong. So your bones get more dense, which means that if your bones are more dense and you take a fall when you're 70, the chances of your bone breaking are going to be less.
Yep.
So that's basically why you want to do some strength training as you get older. And doctors are always saying, like, get on the weights. And it doesn't have to be heavy, okay, guys? It can be, strength training can be pushing and pulling your own body
Your own
weight.
weight. Yep. Resistance
Okay.
bands, anything that provides
The
something to push
bands.
against. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
the bands are a great one because a lot of the older folks, they really can't lift that heavy.
Right.
They're frail. They can do seated exercises
They
as
can.
well.
Even though there's always the outliers. I've had several clients into their 70s that are doing Olympic weightlifting movements and doing very well
They're
at
doing
them.
CrossFit guys at
Yeah.
70 these days. 70 is what, the new
40.
40?
some.
40, yeah.
Something like that. All I know is I'm in the 20 range. Okay, that's all I know. I just think about myself.
See, one of my examples for aging is my father. He's 81 years old, and if he were to walk in here right now, you would probably think he's in his early 60s.
Really? Looks that good, huh?
There have been times when people thought he was my older brother, not my father.
Oh, great.
And
I like it.
I watch him move, and I watch the things that he does. He's been active his entire life. Not always formal workouts, but always doing something active. He was a career military. I remember when I was in high school, when he was in his 40s playing in a basketball league with guys half his age. He's always been that guy.
Yeah, so
And
that's where you get it. It really
that is
transcends.
really. I mean, my motivation for lifting weights initially came from trying to be. He grew up on a farm and was this big, strong guy. My entire childhood, and I knew I wasn't on a farm.
It's
I've got to
called
do something.
manual labor,
There you go.
kids.
That volume of manual labor. And so I had to start doing weights because I wanted to look like that guy, and that's what actually got me into weight training at 12 years old. I begged my parents to get me a weight set because at that time there was still the idea, this was the mid-70s, that weightlifting was bad for you. I had a youth football coach
Right.
tell me not to lift because I thought it was going to make me muscle bound. I mean, it was really looked at as being kind of a strange activity.
Yeah.
But I got into it, and I thought, well, I'm going to be as big as he is one of these days, and I started lifting the weights. And from there, though, I look at him now, and we were at a football game, one of my son's football games a couple of years ago, and we were at the top of the bleachers, and he calls me on the cell phone trying to figure out where we are, and I waved to him, and he just bounded up the bleachers to where we were. And
Just
at this
agile
time,
as can be.
yeah, and just
No
sat down, and
problem.
I take it for granted because I'm used to it. But that night, I looked at him and I went, wow, and I'm looking at the people around us, and I'm sure there were people, in their 60s and 70s who were leaning on people to get up and down the bleacher steps, and here he just bounds up there like a teenager, and that's my goal, is to be 81
Yeah.
and still with that level of
Exactly.
movement, that level of
It's about
functionality.
that preservation I'm
Yeah.
talking about. Like,
Yeah.
we want to preserve what we've worked so hard
Yeah.
to get to this point. We don't want to kill ourselves before it's time. So there's a healthy way to do that. How important do you think your diet is in how you feel and you being able to
Oh.
do everything that you do in a day?
The most important thing.
What?
By
Let's
far.
get the percentage here. I venture to say it's like 80% of it is your diet, people. What you put in your body, not diet, but how you eat, how you fuel your body. You got to put some good gas in the tank if you want it to go, right? If you want your car to run smoothly, you have to take care of it. That means fuel it with the right oil, give it some checkups, go to the doctor, get a checkup, and put the right gas in it.
Right.
Right.
What's your diet like, Patty?
Well, I would say that my diet has evolved over time. I was saying earlier, I never really had to worry about what I ate because I was skinny. But as I've aged, it has become more of an important
An
element.
issue?
An issue.
Listen, as we get older, everything becomes more of an issue.
So I've been very strict with, vegan, vegetarian, but I have evolved to healthy, clean eating. And just this year, I have learned from Kevin about carb counting. And so
Your
I'm
macros?
I'm kind of looking into that now. I never realized that a lot of my diet was made up of carbs. I mean,
Oh,
major
yeah, because
carbs.
when you go vegan, it's all about the legumes and the beans
Yes,
and
and
the
the
rice.
vegetable and the
you're
the
wondering why
fruit.
am I gaining weight?
Yes.
Well, guess what?
Yeah.
All that stuff likes to sit around the middle.
Right. So now that's in my mind that I'm looking into that. And I was just telling Kevin yesterday that I think this carb counting is working. I'm getting ready for a vacation, so I want to get down to a certain goal, and I
Yeah.
think that the carb counting is helping. So it's amazing,
It's just
even at
acquiring
this
better
age,
balance in your diet.
right,
basically.
to discover new tricks, or
Yeah.
not tricks, but
Yeah, because our
ways.
bodies and our minds are definitely playing tricks on us. So we got to kind of, stay on top of it so that it doesn't get the best of us as we age. So tell me about this program that you're working with Patty with. Like, how did you teach her how to count her carbs? First of all, let's educate. Carbohydrates. carbohydrates. Just educate us on carbohydrates.
Okay.
What are we talking about when we're talking carbs?
So when you talk about carbohydrates, they, the common misconception is, and I hear all kinds of things, how they're like, well, carbs, that's like bread, right? Well, that is one source of carbohydrates, yes.
It's the one everybody loves.
It's one of the
Okra.
macronutrients. It's the one that people get themselves in trouble with a lot because they're the good tasting ones. They can be sugar laden. They can be simple carbs. There's complex carbs. The idea is that carbs are fuel. Now, if you are a relatively sedentary person, then you don't need as much. You don't need as much readily available fuel. So restricting your carbohydrate intake can help you maintain a healthy weight. People tend to overeat the carbohydrates. It's easy. They're very calorie dense. And like we just said, they come in many bad
But they
forms.
don't satiate.
They don't either. Yes, they don't.
So that's why you can eat a bag of potato chips and feel like you ate nothing.
Yeah.
Okay,
They can create cravings by spurring
Insulin
hunger
goes
cycles.
like this.
Yes. Yeah. Insulin drops, spurs that hunger cycle again. There you go, eat another bag of chips, and 2 or 3 months later, you've gained 10 pounds, and try to figure out why.
And that's why
Yeah.
we want to have a high protein diet, not super high, but like let's just say 60% of your intake, right? Of protein, maybe 30% carbohydrates.
Yeah, I do a good dose of healthy fats, protein, and low carbohydrates, definitely.
And 10% fat.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about the good fat. We have the good fats in nuts and avocados. I call those, they're the HDLs. That's the happy fats, H for happy. And then we have the LDLs, and those are the lousy fats. That's L for lousy. So LDLs are the ones that are in the chips or fried foods and all that kind of stuff. You want to stay
Processed.
away from the LDL fats and stick to the happy fats, which is the HDL in your natural foods like avocado and nuts.
That's a good way of putting it. I've never thought about that before.
Yeah, so that's how I remember it. So yeah, HDL, H is for happy,
Yeah.
and that's good for you, and L is for lousy, and that's not good for you. So LDL, stay away from LDL fats. Tell me, Kevin, about your event that's coming up. So he has an experience with
Yes,
somebody.
a client of mine, his daughter was recently diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, juvenile diabetes, and he came to me with an idea about having a fundraiser. A few years ago, I did a similar fundraiser to raise money for Andre House, which is they feed the homeless in downtown Phoenix. He wanted to reprise that this year and raise the money to raise money for JDRF, Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. So on the 22nd, we're having what we call the Hammer Out Type 1. And the idea is that for a donation, you can either donate or you can participate. For a donation, you can compete with sledgehammers and tires, and the idea is to strike a tire as many times as you can in 5 minutes. Whoever,
that's
and
fun.
the top finishers
Take out
will.
some aggression.
There you go. Yeah, the top finishers will get. We have prizes available, anything from free personal training sessions to Amazon tablets and Amazon Fire Sticks.
Ooh.
So we have some good prizes available, or you can just come watch and donate. Either way, we just like enough people to show up. Hopefully raise a good amount of funds. And it's the last time we did it was a lot of fun. So hoping to have a
type
similar
1
turnout.
diabetes is no joke. For those of you who are not educated about that, diabetes is an epidemic, especially in the United States. And these kids, they have diabetes, and a lot of it is hereditary.
It is.
And so, especially with the little ones. So this is definitely a great cause, a great event. I hope that you guys can make that. Hammer
Hammer Out Type 1, it's called.
Out Type 1. So you're going to be taking a big sledgehammer and pounding a gigantic tractor tire as many times as you can in 5 minutes.
Yes.
And that's how you raise the money. That's going to be great. October 22nd?
October 22nd.
And
Yep.
that's at
It's,
Kyrene and Warner?
Kyrene and Warner in Tempe, 8400 South Kyrene.
That's where Body Focus Fitness
where I'm
is. That's
located.
where his fitness center is.
Yeah. Anywhere, excuse me, starts at 8 a.m. on Saturday morning. But anytime between 8 and 12, you can come in, make your donation, and give it a shot.
I'm definitely going to donate, and I may do some hammering, but I'm not.
She's like, I'm not
hammering's
sure.
not really great for my back.
It's another one of the ones that's off the table for her a little bit. So.
Right, so no, everyone really listen to what I'm trying to tell you here. Work within your parameters. Know what your limitations are. Evolve with the times. If something doesn't seem quite right to you, you're doing the Jane Fonda jump up and down workout, and all of a sudden, you can't get through 5 minutes of it. Your body's telling you something. Listen to your body. Take some time to rest.
Definitely.
Recovery is just as important as the working out, as the diet, as the hydration. You got to get that rest in so that you can go hard when you want to go hard, right? So all of those things are very important. We're talking about people here who are fit throughout time. We're talking, we started in 1988, 89. When I was just a baby, I was only 5 years old. I started training her when I was 5 years old. Do you feel me on this, people? You know, I had my babies at 12. So, you know, it's
It struck me
a
the other day that
lifestyle.
I've been doing this for 40 years, actually.
Wow, 40 years.
And
He must know something.
I can only say that I think it's been a little bit beneficial. Yes. No, but it's seriously though. It's over time with the evolution of how you do things. You know, as a younger man, I thought nothing was more important than lifting as heavy as I possibly could, and that probably carried through for about the next 20 years. You know? And then I did suffer my first injury. I herniated. Bulging and herniated disc L4, L5, S1.
From doing squats?
From
Powerlifting?
actually, they think it was most likely a cumulative effect of powerlifting, football, and car accident I got into.
Okay.
And all of that.
That makes
probably,
sense.
yeah. And
That's a lot
something
of
had to
on the
go.
back.
And from that, I learned how to actually rebuild, make myself more functional, more flexible. Started working and caring more about range of motion than just absolute limit
Core
strength.
work.
Yes, and for the first time, I actually addressed core work directly. Up until that point, core work for me would be, I had a gymnastics background, so I'd hang from things and stuff like that, but nothing really too direct. Actually, just focus core work other than recreational type stuff.
For those of you
Yeah.
who aren't clear on what core means, core is this area right here, your midsection. All right, so let's just say these are your abs and they're sticking out like this, and you've got your back. When you have weak abdominals, your back is also going to pay for it.
Right.
It's going to be weak.
Your back's doing
so
more work than it should be
you
doing.
start strengthening your abdominals and they flatten out. It's also going to stabilize your back. See? And that is why you want to do core work. People are like, yeah, you got to do abs. Well, why am I doing abs? Well, I want to have a flat stomach. No. You want to have a strong abdominal area so it stabilizes your back and you don't hurt yourself.
Right. And just as importantly, you also want to work the muscles in relation to you want to make sure your glutes are strong, your erectors and your back are strong.
Right, you have to have a balance
Yes.
of strength.
Yeah, because all of those work in concert, not in
Right.
isolation, to make sure you have good core strength.
Right. So we have a few people out there listening. I'd like to give a shout out to Lantonio, Santiago, hello, Andrew, David from Texas, Claudia from Oklahoma. Thank you for tuning in. Joanna Soria, shout out to you. I'd like to say hello to my parents. Hi, Mom and Dad. Thank you for listening. The Montaños, I know you're listening as well. Shout out to Sumit's Yoga. Everybody at Orange Theory, Travis Renner, and everybody on the Orange team, hello to you. Everybody at Cycle Bar, hi there, guys. Keep doing what you're doing. We love you. Sumit's Yoga, thank you so much for what you do. All the instructors and trainers there. We have a few events coming up. Namaste Arizona is this weekend up in Scottsdale, and it's a huge yogi event. So all of you yogis, look that one up. Namaste Arizona in Scottsdale. I'm pretty sure you can still sign up for some of that stuff. We have Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Now, I really tried to find something pink. So you got my lipstick, and that's all I could find because I went to get the little pin, that I could wear, but I didn't find it. So you got the lipstick. I didn't forget about Breast Cancer Awareness Month, so do get that checked out. We have the Susan G. Komen race on Sunday. For those of you who wanted to do that race, I'm pretty sure you could probably still sign up right until the last minute. We have our big fitness bodybuilding competition. The Europa is coming to Phoenix. That's the weekend of the 15th and 16th. That's a huge bodybuilding competition, and there's a big expo. So even if you don't go to the competition, the expo has all the fitness people are going to be there, like giving out free stuff. Can I say free stuff? Free stuff. Okay, I can't emphasize that enough. But anyhow, before we go, I'd like to give you a gift. I brought you both a Cycle Bar water bottle. It contains a few goodies from Cycle Bar and a free ride, so I want to invite you to come in and spin with me at some point. Patty, I'm doing this little pay it forward thing, so Scott at Scott's Training Systems, hi. Thank you for this t-shirt from STS. Okay, you brought
She
this
wanted
to me.
to steal
like,
it.
I wanted to keep it.
Yes.
Scott, could you hook me up? Come on, hook a girl up with a T-shirt. Like, I want a new one. I don't want the old ones. But anyways, I'm gonna give it to Patty.
Thank you.
And Patty,
I love it.
I also have a. I know you already have one of these, the Psycho Bar water bottle with all the goodies in it. It has a free ride in there,
Oh,
so take
right.
that too. And I want to thank.
You don't have a racer back for me.
You know what? Well, no, because that's all he brought.
Okay.
So I promise I will get you something if you come back. Well, you have to promise to come back.
I will come back. Yes.
Will you come
I
back,
will
Patty?
come back. Yeah.
Patty's gonna be one of my fly girls when I do some demos when I get to go to Trisha's playground. We'll get to this, people. Okay, we'll get to it. And Kevin's gonna come in and help us do some fun stuff. Hopefully, maybe we'll bring in some people that you've trained before.
Okay.
Some success stories. I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys are doing. What's new for your business in the future. I'm looking to see how it grows for you. Hopefully you can get some clients. That's Body Focus Fitness and Performance. He's at Warner and Kyrene. He has a great, very personable little studio. For those of you looking for a lot of personal attention, small place, this is your guy. He knows what he's doing. We're talking 40 years in business. Patty, she's my sidekick, my love, my dear, my friend. Thank you, Patty, so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule. She's brilliant and beautiful. Guys, if you have it together, which most of you don't, but if you do, she's single. Anyways, thank you to all the listeners out there. Thank you for joining us today. If I forgot somebody, I'm so sorry. I'll hit you next time. Thank you for joining us on this edition of the Trish Trainer. I'll see you next week. Are we still on? This is going to be a blooper.
No, we were good.
I have a gift for you. This is one of my favorite
Oh.
books. Have you